Hey everybody, this is Group 6 here. I'm Casey Robinson, and today we're going to be going over the app that we created, and that is the allergen check. And so first off, we just want to give you a little bit of an overview on how it works. And so we're going to start off right off the bat with a demo of our project. And so I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Can you guys see this?
No.
No, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen.
See anything?
Okay, we will share the entire screen. All right, you guys can see that, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, now we can.
All right, so what we have here, this is the app that we've created. Like I said, this is the allergen check. And we have it running right now on a mobile emulator just because we've designed the site from the ground up to work with mobile. And so this is actually running on an emulator of what would be the Nexus 5X. And so first thing we have just kind of a label here that is that explains how to use the app. And so what you do is you take any major product that you can find in your grocery store and copy and paste any of the ingredients that are in this word box here. And you choose whether you want to scan those ingredients for things that contain dairy or gluten. And those are the respective labels there. And so I'm going to run you through the program here a little bit. So first, we're going to look at my personal favorite, the double stuffed Oreos. Ingredients that I found online here. And you see I don't have a cursor. This is all for touch, but you can copy and paste all of the ingredients we have. And new touch submit. Have the nice animation. And it will scan for some of the most common ingredients that are in gluten and dairy allergies. So if we're allergic to dairy, we can see that we're good to go. No dairy allergens are found. But if we're allergic to gluten, we're in pretty bad shape because there's a lot of different forms of wheat and flour in this. And if it works again, let's take a look. So maybe we want to check out some Nilla wafers. So I'm pretty bummed out that those Oreos didn't work. Same thing. That's a double click. And here with the Nilla wafers, I only want to check for dairy. So the check mark disappears. So now we're only going to check for dairy. And it turns out there's a lot of forms of milk in Nilla wafers. Who knew? We can also do vice versa. And there we go. Looks like it has a little bit of gluten as well. And lastly, I thought I had, oh yeah, so here we go. Massive amount of really natural ingredients, I'm sure, in Totino's pizza. Throw that in there. Let's check for both of them. A bit of stuff that does not look very good. So if we're allergic to these things, we'll probably want to avoid those. So in a nutshell, that is our allergen check. It scans for 2 different types of allergens and a number of different of specific ingredients that have allergens. So it should be really helpful for anyone that is always having to watch the ingredient labels and hopefully make life a little bit easier for them. Before I hand off the baton here to my teammates, I just want to go over a couple of the things that I worked on in the app. And my role was kind of interesting. I had my hand in a little bit of everything, but specifically a lot of the elements, specific elements of CSS, and some of the transitions. I did a little bit of the DOM manipulation in hiding these divs and making them reappear down here. And just a little bit of debugging and decoding as well. But I'll pass the baton off to Alex, and he can tell you a little bit about his role and some of the challenges we faced.
All right, and can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. So my role in the app design was the CSS, so just setting up everything, like stylizing it and choosing a background. I also took the checkboxes and changed them from just a standard boring looking checkbox and gathered those images from Google, brought them into Photoshop, created .png images, and then actually changed it so that, and then the checkbox goes over that instead of having the checkbox itself. And I also changed it so that when you hit submit, let's put in some ingredients here. Animation, where it slowly brings in the divs below showing the results. That was another one of the things that I was involved in, creating that CSS animation, and I can actually show you the bits of code that I was working on. So in the CSS right here, I created a keyframes animation which shows basically what it was supposed to do. It just goes in 10% increments, and it starts out just with increasing opacity over the span of 2 seconds until the div becomes fully visible and displays the results that you're looking for. And then I tied the animation to the two divs, the dairy area and the gluten area. And I was also making sure that dairy and gluten were stored to local storage. When you hit submit, it saves which of these two was actually checked into local storage. So if you unmark wheat, hit submit, and then refresh the page, it remembers your preferences. So dairy remains checked, but wheat doesn't. That one actually was kind of troublesome. It took me a while to figure out because I had written an original function that did that, but it had an issue where it stayed checked no matter what you did. And that was just problematic because we wanted to make it so that you could uncheck the item if you wanted to. So I felt really proud of myself when I got that one figured out. That was a really big challenge that I ran into, especially because local storage has always been one of the concepts that I struggled the absolute most with. But yeah, CSS, local storage, and then the CSS animation trigger through JavaScript, which was another thing that was a little bit tricky to find out. I put it on the submit button when it should have been right here, which is where it identifies that the div goes from a hidden state to a visible state. And that's the point in which you trigger the CSS animation. And that was my involvement with the app. I guess it's time for Brittany to add her piece.
Okay, I will share my screen. So with this app, sort of the reason why we did this app is this is my life right now. In the beginning, when we thought of doing this app, I thought of doing more allergens because right now it's a whole lot more than just dairy and gluten that I have to avoid. But we sort of reduced it down just to 2, just for the ease of wanting to be able to focus on the elements that were needed for the app versus expanding the ability of the app. So I didn't want to spend as much time making it so we could do too many more allergens. So my big role in this was to get the logic running. So there is a JSON file that holds all of the other names for the allergens. So this JSON file here, I compiled that and then took that logic and wrote it into the JavaScript in here to where it pulls the list of ingredients, turns it into an array right here, and then we compare the two arrays, the array from JSON and the array from the user to see if there's anything that matches. So if one of the ingredients matches one of the allergens from our JSON, it'll pull out in our message. And if there's nothing, that'll say no allergens are found. So that was my big part, was putting the framework together and then getting the big basic logic of this going and running, which included all these for loops and fun stuff, and using the AJAX with the JSON and stuff like that. For me, one of the hardest things was keeping everything working. It seemed like every time we tried, because this logic was written first, and then every time we tried to add something, it seemed to break things. And so figuring out how to keep things from breaking while adding the extra functionality we wanted seemed to be something hard, but I think we got to it and it works really well. So that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.